weather pattern.
Yeah, it is a very confusing weather pattern. We have neither, everybody looks to see whether it's an El Nino or a La Nina type season, and it is really confusing. I mean, it is really neutral. 4 weeks in a row, it was looking like it was going La Nina, which is predominance of easterly, northeasterly type weather, cooler conditions, less nor'westers. Then it flicks around, and the last 2 weeks, for example, have been mildly El Nino. So we're in that really neutral phase at the moment. So we don't have any dominant systems. We don't have any big high pressure systems coming. We are getting a lot of stuff that's coming out of like the mid to northern Tasman, if you look at the weather that's really affecting New Zealand at the moment. That's a system that is sort of being fed out of really tropical air out of the northern Tasman Sea, and so that lasts a few days, and then we're going to get a southerly flick, and snow's going to be back down to like 600 metres, and
everybody goes wow about frosts.
Yes, everybody does go wow about frosts. Unfortunately, except for one or two events we've had in the last couple of months, it hasn't cleared out immediately after we've had those really cold southerlies that have come through, which as soon as it clears out, then they've got a really big problem as far as frost is concerned. It's been a bit cloudy and murky after that, and we've dodged a bullet, I think, with some sort of late season frosts.
Because we certainly don't need them.
Absolutely not.
And of course, the rainfall. I mean, nobody's turning their irrigators on.
Absolutely not. If you look at the deficits, the soil moisture deficits we're developing, in fact, all over New Zealand, the deficits that we're developing between rainfall events are not enough to trigger an irrigation. I mean, even on the stoniest soils, for example, we're getting like a 15 or 20 millimetre deficit, and then the next rainfall arrives, and we're getting 10, 15. I mean, if you look at the last rainfall event that came through, Canterbury swept up the east coast of the North Island. I mean, we vary from sort of 15 to about 40 millimetres through Canterbury, another 30 odd in the North Island. Well, that's enough to refill the profiles again, certainly the root zones of the crops that we're interested in irrigating. And then you've got to wait around basically to see if there's going to be a rainfall event before you need to turn the irrigator on. And sure enough, along comes the next rainfall event. Yeah.
When you look at Peter Hancock's at the Lincoln Dairy Unit, 4 days he's done irrigation.
Yep, that's right. And probably if he thinks back and goes, did I actually need to irrigate on those 4 days? Or was probably, well, it doesn't look like it's going to rain, so I will. And would he have lost any production if he hadn't irrigated those 4 days? Probably not. No.
Exactly. I guess to the other extreme, though, we now need sunshine.
Yes, we do. We're reaching a point where, if you look at Canterbury, for example, let's just deal with Canterbury for the moment. A lot of flowering crops are about to need some sunshine. You think of clover, we've got radish, we've got some of those other vegetable seeds. Even ryegrass, for example, we're about to hit flowering in the early ryegrasses, and we really do need some warm, dry conditions. Once the ryegrass is there, we wouldn't mind a little bit of wind, warm, dry wind to move the pollen around, the good old cloudy ryegrass paddocks when they're in full flower. Drives everybody with their hay fever nuts.
Exactly.
But we're reaching that point where we need some sunny days, and we need them to be warm. A lot of those crops need, sort of plus 12 degrees for germination to take place, for pollination and fertilisation to take place. And boy, we're getting a lot of temperatures now where we're below that. Yeah, I mean, grapes, for example, we're about to hit flowering in grapes, and we need above 12 degrees consistently. If you go into the North Island, onion crops are just absolutely struggling. You go into Hawke's Bay and the Pukekohe area. It is so wet that it's reducing the rate at which they can grow. I mean, they're getting so much rain that it's just staying too wet for too long.
Central part of New Zealand, bottom of the north, top of the south.
Oh yeah, I mean, on top of an earthquake, which is driving everybody nuts. They're getting absolutely hammered today. I mean, the rainfalls are just huge, and there's flooding everywhere. That's spilling over into the Wairarapa, so the sort of western part of the Wairarapa is getting lots of rain again today. So there goes irrigation again. Rivers are really full. It's one of those seasons where it's a long time. I can't sort of remember when we've gone just about to December without having to do any serious irrigation anywhere in New Zealand, and that's the way it's looking. And if you look at the weather pattern, without that dominance of any large high pressure systems and any westerly type weather setting in and being dominant, I mean, I think we could go to Christmas without doing just about any irrigation at all.
Is it likely to turn and we get real dry?
Well, we need the weather system we need a weather system to take hold and drive things. You know, while it's in a very neutral phase, whether it's whatever indicator you look at, where the high pressure systems sit, there haven't been any tropical cyclones of any note yet in the Pacific, and we're heading into that time. They haven't even spurned yet. So there's nothing that's really standing out to actually change that weather system around and give us one or the other, preferably that sunnier weather now to get things really moving, improve the grass quality, everything, you know.
But the aquifers must be looking good, Tony.
Well, the aquifers are just, they're just tying home really. I mean, they're just sitting where they were at the beginning of the season. It hasn't resulted in any significant recharge to the aquifers in Canterbury, particularly. If you go into the Hawke's Bay area or into the Ruataniwha Basin area where they are dominantly fed by the rivers, well, those rivers coming out of the Western Hills, of course, are in flood then falling, flood then falling. They're getting very good recharge, so their aquifers are in good shape. In terms of Canterbury, we're just sitting where we were. I mean, there's been very little abstraction out of them, so they're not. We're not stressing them any further than they were at the beginning of the season.
So futures out as a crystal ball?
Yeah, it's real crystal ball. I mean, without a dominant El Nino or a dominant La Nina type system, it's, just wait and watch the space for the next 10 days and you can see what's coming. I mean, if you look back at Australia, for example, I mean, Hobart's just had some dreadful weather and so has Melbourne, and that's about the latitude that we're on, and it's heading in our direction effectively. So they've just had another cold spell go through the sort of Tasmania, southeastern Australia area. I mean, if you look at Gippsland, for example, they've got grass sort of coming out of their ears, which is...
Oh, so have we, though.
Yes, I know. Places that you never expect it, yes.
And on a dry land is
Yep.
pooling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy season.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Tony, thank you very much indeed.